Federal Workforce Fallout is sponsored by Prince George's Community College.
You're watching Federal Workforce Fallout, where each week we break down the impacts to our neighbors and the federal workforce. I'm Larry Miller. This show is dedicated to the reduction of the federal workforce and the impact that it's having on workers, their families, and our local and national economy. Well, this week we're checking back in on federal workers who took part in the government's deferred resignation program. The offer from the Fed at the time: go on administrative leave for months, receive full compensation until September, and then formally separate in October. Well, it's estimated that 154,000 federal workers participated in the DRP. Well, many told us that they took the offer to ensure they had income, especially as the government was slashing jobs unexpectedly. Well, that said, after months of administrative leave, everyone we spoke with said that they're still looking for work. The money has run out, as well as hope for many. Well, I spent an afternoon with Shante Grave. She went viral after documenting her frustration and regret.
Well, let's start from like the very beginning in terms of like what led you to start getting on TikTok, and then how overwhelmed have you been as a result of the response that you've received thus far?
I actually started recording back in the spring, like when all of this started happening, and I started recording my process of like coming to terms with leaving, and just kind of it was just a diary for myself. Um didn't really get very much traction, and eventually, after a little bit after my last day, or my day that I went on administrative leave, I kind of stopped recording and focused on other things. But this, I just was having not such a good day. Today really sucks. What's up, guys? Y'all, I'm struggling so hard today. I took the deferred resignation program and have so much regret. I have so much regret. Even with all of the crazy stuff going on in the government, I really miss the security of that job. And I feel like I have no community of people that also took it, which makes me then feel even worse, because I feel like I didn't make a thought out decision, but I did think it out. And today just feels hard. Like, I just wish I would have just stayed and let them fire me or lay me off or whatever, instead of taking this. I feel like I could sit with it better. I'm just really struggling today. And hopefully tomorrow will be better. But today sucks. Today really sucks. For myself, it really was more of a thing of like something that I can go back to. Hopefully, once I'm on the other side, and once I've gotten a job, it just, it'll be part of my story. And so for it to blow up the way that it did was really like mind blowing. Like, I've never experienced, I've never gone viral, I've never experienced anything like that. But it was really encouraging. Most of the comments and the response DMs were very positive, and encouraging other formal or current federal employees that, were faced with the same decision of taking the deferred resignation program, or not taking it, or was a lot that reached out. But I did have quite a few that were not so kind, and I don't want to give that too much time. But what that did do for me was it helped me to focus on why I did choose to leave. It took me back to the decision making process and the information that I had at the time, in order to come to the decision that it was the for me at that time, it was the smartest, the safest decision moving forward for myself, for my family, my future family. Um, and so I even was able to take the negative comments and like remember like you made a decision not because quite a few of them saying, "Oh, the money has ran out and now you're in tears." That's not it at all. I have a wonderful fiance that has supported me through the decision, and and even now, and we were very smart, going into, we knew what was coming. And so that was never it was a little, it hurt my feelings a little bit, just because I'm
Mm.
like, that has nothing to do with, I'm not crying because I the money has ran out. I'm crying because I've worked since I was 15 and a half, and I like to work. That's something I've always strived to do, is to work. I like the purpose that it serves. I'm learning now to not put my value in my job title, but it is something that I value my career. I value showing up every day. I was one of those weird people that when they had to return to office, it didn't hurt me. I
Mm.
was okay. I like the structure of being in the work. I've always said, give me a stack of work and a place to do it in, and I'm content. I am happy. And so with losing that, that's what brought the tears. I was like, I just want to get back to working. I want to get back to feeling like I have a purpose within the
And
workforce.
so, for those that are unfamiliar with your story, what agency did you work for? How long had you worked there for? And then walk us through your decision-making process to take the DRP.
Okay. So I worked for the Department of Labor.
Mhm.
I was there, um, actively there, for a year and 9 months.
Okay.
Right under 2 years. My last day was in April, and I would have hit 2 years in June. And so, my time with the federal government was very short, but um, I come from a military family. My dad's retired military, and then went on to work in the federal government, and that has been something that he is like, get you a good government job, like do this is kind of a path that had been laid out, and I really didn't see that in my future, didn't really know how I was going to get into the government. And through my church, it truly, God made a lot of moves. I am a believer, and I 100% know that God gave me that job. I He placed me in rooms that I didn't even realize that those rooms would eventually lead to me working for the federal government, but they did. And through a series of events, I landed the job in June of 2023,
Mhm.
and was just really excited. I was encouraged many times of, this is just a start for you, like your career will go really far, don't get too comfortable here, there's lots of agency, there's lots that you can do within the federal government. But kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about, I'm in my forever job, I love it here. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, um I had applied for a leadership program within um, my agency, and was accepted into the program. And then, after the administration got into office, about, I want to say 2 weeks later, the the program was pulled from us. And that's kind of when I started to feel like, okay, what's happening here? Um, this is this is not what I thought it would be. I knew changes would come with the new administration, but didn't quite. Sometimes I think you feel like, oh, it won't affect me. Hopefully it won't affect me. Or maybe we are ignorantly blissful that it won't affect us. And then the first fork in the road came around, and my boss, who was a great mentor, had been he's was retired military as well, and then had been in the federal government for, I believe, 30 plus years. Um, Left with the first fork in the road offer, and our department just, or our office just really felt there was a heaviness within our office of the changes that were coming. When the DRP 2.0 came back out, that was really what started to play for me. Like, that started to really impact people that had already been left and brought back. Um, and knowing that I should have been in that number, and I still had 2 months to go, and we had what we believed to be Doge in the building,
Hmm.
kind of very on our floor, walking around with laptops. It was very like it was very tense within the office. The severance, when I had plugged into like the severance calculator, it was pretty much equivalent to one paycheck.
Hmm.
And that's a real big difference between one paycheck and being paid until the end of September. And so that really, I think other departments and other agencies, people were going to work, being locked out, couldn't get in, just like it was just so much news stories going on. It's just like, you know what, I have to choose the thing that is the safest. Some may say the easiest, but it really wasn't easy. And that's kind of when I started picking up the camera, and like, because I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to leave. I want to be here. I want to stay, but I also don't want to be ignorant and not make a wise decision that I may later regret. Even with all of the crazy stuff going on in the government, I really miss the security of that job. And I feel like I have no community of people that also took it, which makes me then feel even worse because I feel like I didn't make a thought out decision, but I did think it out. I prayed about it. I'm so frustrated with my decision. And today just feels hard. Like, I just wish I would have just stayed and let them fire me or lay me off or whatever instead of taking this. I feel like I could sit with it better. And I'm just really struggling today. What was going to happen was going to happen. I can't say what would have happened if I would have stayed versus, what happened from leaving, but what I can say is that I feel like I gave up. And in the time at the moment when I made the decision, I wasn't making the decision to give up. I was making the decision to do what felt the safest.
And so, walk me through what life has been like for you, trying to get back on your feet. I'd imagine that the market has been tough for you.
Yeah, it's been really tough. I had a really good position. I had was making, it was the best job that I've had. Best salary that I've had, and I got engaged at that job.
Have you
And
applied for jobs? What has the
I
application process been looking like for you?
I have applied for jobs. I haven't had a whole lot of traction with them. I have gotten a couple of emails of being forwarded to the next step, and then I'm not really hearing anything from that. I haven't been on any interviews since I left in April. Um and I've probably applied to a lot of jobs, a couple hundred jobs. It's been a little discouraging. A
Yeah.
lot discouraging actually.
Has being able to share your story on TikTok, has that been sort of cathartic for you?
It has. I did not expect the response, and it's been really cool. I've always said, "Oh, what's I think I even have a video out there that's like, I wonder what it's like to go viral. Like what does that even look like?" And the outpouring of encouragement has been um just shy of amazing. I have had people reach out, made connections on LinkedIn. Hopefully, that momentum will keep up. But something I had mentioned in the video was I felt really alone. I had searched like deferred resignation, regret. I had searched a couple of different things and really hadn't heard anybody say like they regret, and it really made me feel alone. Like I'm like, is everybody out here? I even some friends that I worked with that took the DRP family, other people that were like, oh no, I had a coworker that she was like, I prayed for this to come back around. She was very happy that it came back around. And I was just like, man, am I the only one? Am I not putting in enough work, to land a job? Or like, what is it? Because I don't really see any other people saying they regret. And by posting that video, I've had many people reach out to me and say, personally, DM me and say, like, I uh, I can appreciate, and I can, I just want to commend you for your bravery to be that vulnerable online. I felt the same way. It's been highs and lows for me. I ultimately, I've gotten to the place where, on the other side, and so the regret no longer is there, but I've bed rotted, I've cried, and so I know where you're at, and that has been really encouraging. I'm really hopeful that something great will come from all of this.
And no doubt, lots of people are rooting for Ms. Graves, but like Ms. Graves, job seekers right now are in a tough position. There are more unemployed people than there are jobs available. The hiring rate right now, the lowest it's been in 20 years. Now, I reached out to Bill Fitzgerald. He's a career expert and the author of the book, Looking for a Job Sucks. He says that the job search of yesterday will not work in today's market.
Employers that have job openings are getting, dozens of resumes for jobs these days. It does seem, at least in your opinion, your estimation, that the relationships really could be all the difference in a case like that.
Yeah, it really is. And let me show you something, Larry, that is really important. This is an exact resume, Larry, of somebody I was chatting with last week. And I'm not showing you the before, but I'm showing you the after. And here's what's really significant about this document. It's not written to beat the algorithm. It's beaten, it's it's written to put in front of a hiring manager who has an opening. And what folks need to understand is that person's in pain. If you've ever had a team, Larry, and you've had an open job on your team, you know what that means in terms of work not getting done, other members of the team having to do more, other members of the team having to stay late. You might have internal or external customers unhappy with your team's performance. So you're having to spend time looking at resumes, interviewing people. It is a pain to have an open position. But the idea is to have a document. And if you look at how clean and clear this is, with that professional summary doing something that is absolutely critical. I mean, it's always been critical, Larry, but it's absolutely critical now, which is being really clear about what you are and how you can make an impact. So if you look at this person here, it's really clear they're a program slash project manager, designing, implementing foreign assistance programs, $300 million, improving learning outcomes for more than 2 million children, strengthening educational systems, and promoting economic development. It is really clear what this person is all about. And you look at the experience, they've done a great job describing where they work. It's real easy for the reader to understand who USAID is. And then they've gone right into their job. And what recruiters, hiring managers are looking for is a clear statement of what this person's been responsible for. And they do a great job of finding that. And then they get right into accomplishments. Now, there's a formula that he followed here that I suggested he use, and it's further down where there's a great example where you lead with the outcome or the result, and then you're looking for that word by overseeing high quality technical deliveries, deliverables in a strategic country engagement. So it's what was the outcome and what did you do? And when I'm looking at a resume, when a hiring manager, when a recruiter is looking at a resume, Larry, they're looking for those kinds of outcomes, things that can be quantified so you can see the impact. The message here that everybody needs to understand is what this market values is expertise. And it doesn't matter if you're an individual contributor, a middle manager, or an executive. It's being very clear in this summary statement about what you are and what you have to offer because that that is what satisfies my pain as the hiring manager and encourages me to keep reading. So I can't emphasize enough that, I see resumes where I'll see a couple of paragraphs. I remember a resume, Larry, where I didn't get to someone's experience to the second page. They had a long description of their summary. They had a long list of competencies. When I'm when a hiring manager is in pain, this is what they're looking for. This is exactly what they're looking for. Now, if you're a real technical professional, you will see a section in here around different software programs, different hardware programs. That makes sense. Because again, as that hiring manager, that's what I'm looking for. But right now, this is what I really need to see. And the mistake I see people making is they're trying to be so broad because they're afraid they'll miss out on some kind of opportunity. The irony there, the more broad you are, the more you miss out.
This resume and others, and these resumes, it seems like we should be tailoring the resume specifically for the opportunity as opposed to sort of having a blanket one that we sort of shoot out all over the place.
Here's the interesting other side of that question, Larry. I mean, if you're really clear about who you are, there's not a lot of customization you should be doing because what this helps you do is apply for jobs that are an absolute fit for who you are. And I'll give you another example with this person in mind. So we went into ChatGPT and asked the question, given this person's area of expertise, what are the top 3 jobs this person should be looking for? And it did that analysis and it spit out, here are the top 3 jobs. I then went in and said, where are there opportunities for these top 3 jobs? And it came back with a list of here are the open jobs for somebody with this kind of background. So it's a difference between applying for a lot of stuff versus applying for jobs that really truly are a fit for your background. And again, will satisfy my pain is a hiring manager. I mean, I've had people say to me, Bill, I've applied to 300, 500 jobs, and each time I've customized my resume. Honestly, Larry, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that and go to the marketplace and really claim a certain expertise. Now, maybe you move, one accomplishment from the bottom to the top. Maybe there's some slight modifications, but you've got to stay true to whoever you are. And it's like if I were to ask you, Larry, what expertise would you claim as a professional journalist? I mean, how would you tell somebody, here is what I am great at? Because as a hiring manager, that's what I want to hear. And that's what I want to know about you.
Our thanks to Bill Fitzgerald. You can count on WUSA 9 to stay on top of the reduction to the federal workforce, those affected, and what it means for us here at home. In the meantime, scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you to a special section of WUSA9.com dedicated to our coverage of this story and others. That's going to do it for us on federal workforce fallout. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon.
You've learned a lot in life, on the job, in the military, raising a family. At Prince George's Community College, that experience can count as college credit. You could earn up to 15 college credits towards your degree just for what you already know. Eligible Prince George's County grads can even attend tuition-free with the Promise Scholarship. So, what's your game plan? Turn your journey into a degree at Prince George's Community College.